Hello, good morning. I hope you can hear me well. So first of all, of course, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I'm sorry I'm not there with you, but today it's a busy day due to these celebrations of the International Geodiversity Day. So this is my starting question. The International Geodiversity Day is celebrated today on the 6th of October for the first time and was established by which organization? And we have these four options. So who vote for the first one, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature? No one. Okay. UNESCO, the second option. Yeah. All it seems that you are very well informed. The International Union of Geological Sciences, IUGS. No, no one. And the Global Geoparks Network. No. So you are well aware that the International Geodiversity Day was indeed established by UNESCO, and I am going to tell you a little bit about how this happened. Okay, so the start of the idea for this International Day came from this conference that was organized in the middle of the pandemics in May 2020. And it received a lot of participants, more than 600 participants. So everyone was very tired to be during the pandemic, COVID. And so we received a lot of participants all around the world. And in the declaration, the final declaration of this meeting, the participants voted to include this sentence that asked the community to establish the International Geodiversity Day to increase understanding and awareness of geodiversity issues. And so after the ending of this conference, we started to do some teamwork. We established a small working group with 4 people, Professor Murray Gray from the UK, Jack Matthews also from the UK, Zbigniew Zolinski from Poland, and myself. And we decided we defined how to move forward with this idea, how we could establish an international day. So the first thing we have done was we wrote this first letter on the left, addressed to international and national organizations dealing with geoscience. So the idea was to get the support of the international community, and then what we did was we took all the answers, all the letters that we received, and there were a lot, as we can see later, and we decided to send everything to IUGS. IUGS is the International Union of Geological Sciences, is the major international organization regarding geological sciences, and so we asked the IUGS to send all this dossier to UNESCO. IUGS and UNESCO, they have a long history of collaboration. There is the International Geoscience Program inside the UNESCO since the 70s. So it seems to us that this was the right way to get into UNESCO, not something dossier process signed by individuals, but by an international organization. So we start all of this in June, as you can see, and in September, we had the dossier ready to be sent to IUGS. So we received, as you can see here, a lot of support, more than 80 national organizations from all over the world, international organizations, and it was really nice. We had organizations from 41 countries represented in this dossier, which was very, very important to give a solid background to this process. The process was very well received by UNESCO, and we started working with them, mainly with our colleagues from the Earth Science section, and we produced two documents. One document on the left addressed to the different permanent delegations in UNESCO. As you have been discussing before, most of the people don't know what geodiversity is. In the permanent delegations of different countries in UNESCO, they are administrative people that, of course, their knowledge about these topics is very low. So we had to prepare a very simple document explaining what is geodiversity and why it's important to have an International Geodiversity Day. And on the right, a formal document that is used inside UNESCO to prepare the different decisions. And so this was discussed in the meeting of the executive board in April 2021. And it was very important to start all this process to have the support of one national delegation at least. And so Portugal decided to accept this and to take this issue and to bring this issue to the agenda of the meeting of the executive board. Then the UK and Poland also joined this, and after this, and this was really important to have the support of many other countries. As you can see here, the executive board is composed of 35 member states, and in the end, we had the support of 74 UNESCO member states, which was really, really impressive. And so in the General Conference of UNESCO in November 2021, the decision was ratified. And so we have now the International Geodiversity Day sponsored by UNESCO, which is very important. We see during the last couple of weeks, the number of initiatives that are being organized this week and special today around the world. So what are the hot topics that I think we should address to justify the importance of this International Geodiversity Day? I think that we need to enhance the contribution of geodiversity to ecosystem services. There are a lot of literature, papers, a lot of even international protocols on ecosystem services, but most of the time these ecosystem services are only based on biodiversity, and it is a mistake, because there are a lot of ways that geodiversity also contributes to ecosystem services. We and the ecosystems receive a lot of benefits from geodiversity, and we still need much more research, and we still need much more outreach explaining how geodiversity contributes to ecosystem services. Another thing is the relation between geodiversity and energy transition, a hot topic, as you all know. And of course, it is impossible to implement an energy transition without considering all the minerals that are needed in order to produce what we want, to make this change to a less carbon society. And I think most of the politicians and most of the people is not aware of the huge amount of mining that is needed to implement this energy transition. Another hot topic for me is the relation between geodiversity and climate change adaptation and land use planning. For me, all these three things are very well interconnected, and many things that we are seeing as a result of the impact of climate change, the effects are much worse because of a bad land use planning, because most of the times land use planning is not considering the natural dynamics of geodiversity. We saw in recent weeks the tragic flooding in Pakistan, And when we see and when we read the reports and the papers produced during the last big flood that existed in 2010, there were already a lot of problems that were mentioned, referring the lack of a good land use planning. And of course, we have a growing population in Pakistan, and of course we have more and more people in an area that has a lot of problems. So this question of bringing geodiversity to this discussion is also very important. And also to include geodiversity in the discussions regarding nature-based solutions in nature conservation. Most of the time, nature conservation is based on the preservation of biodiversity, which of course is a very important topic, but there are also some elements of geodiversity that we call the geoheritage that needs to be conserved. They present special values that need to be addressed, that need to be managed. And so we need to expand nature conservation policies in order to include also geodiversity and geoheritage. And finally, something that is very important for the European Union is the integration of geodiversity in the European Union policies, something that is completely missing. It makes me really mad to see how the European Union does not consider geodiversity in a proper way. And for instance, I was talking about nature conservation. As probably you all know, nature conservation in the European Union is based on just two directives, birds and habitats. And so everything in the European Union regarding nature conservation just deals with biodiversity. And it is very important, very difficult, for instance, to sponsor research programs on geoheritage and geoconservation. And so we really need to convince the European Union authorities to include geodiversity in their policies. And one example, very recent example, is this proposal for a regulation of the European Parliament and of the Council on nature restoration. This proposal was published in end of June this year. You can read all the document and you can really see how geodiversity is completely outside this document. How is possible we have a proposal of a regulation on nature restoration and geology and geodiversity is completely missing of this document. So if you have the opportunity to participate in the public discussion, I think it is still open, so we can send them contributions to change and to update this proposal in order to include geodiversity in this topic. So thank you very much. I'd just like to end with these acknowledgements, all colleagues and organizations that have sent support letters for the establishment of the International Geodiversity Day, IUGS for having accepted and delivered it to UNESCO, Christoph and Uslam that were absolutely crucial people inside UNESCO and helped us to bring this forward. Ambassador Antonio Nova from Portugal, that was the ambassador at that time and helped us a lot. All co-sponsoring UNESCO member states, and finally Jan Stewart and Francesca for giving this video to our application in UNESCO. Thank you very much.